Okay, so have you ever wondered how AI can, like, write poetry now? Or even compose music?
It seems like magic, right?
Yeah, it kind of is. But a lot of it comes down to this really cool thing called the encoder-decoder architecture.
And luckily for us, it's way more interesting than it sounds.
Yeah, way more interesting. Way more interesting. So we're actually diving into a video today that explains it all.
Yeah, and what I think is so fascinating about the encoder-decoder architecture is that it's become the backbone of so many AI tools that we use every single day,
Hmm.
and most people don't even realize it.
Exactly. It's like it's the engine under the hood that's making all of this stuff work.
Yeah.
So the video starts by talking about this thing called an encoder, and they make it sound like a translator, right?
Right.
But instead of switching between like English and Spanish or
Yeah,
something, it's translating meaning into numbers.
exactly. And I think the important thing to remember is that the encoder isn't just memorizing words, right? It's actually analyzing them within their context. So, the word bank, for example, would have a completely different meaning in the sentence, I sat by the riverbank,
Right.
compared to I went to the bank to deposit a check.
Yeah, totally different.
And the encoder understands these nuances.
Well, that's so cool. So it figures out what words mean based on the words around them, the company they keep.
Exactly, precisely.
Yeah, that's a game changer for sure. So does that mean that the encoder needs to be trained on like this massive amount of text to understand all those different contexts?
It needs a lot of information. That's
Hmm.
exactly right. And once it, sort of understands this context, it compresses all of that information into something called a context vector.
Right.
And you can kind of think about it like a numerical summary of the entire input.
Got it.
So it's like if you were to read a whole book
Mm-hmm.
and then try to like create a Spark Notes version of it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
That's kind of what the context vector is like.
Okay. So it's like telling your friend about a movie you just saw,
Mm.
but you're cramming all the juicy plot points into like a single text message.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. So then what happens? What does the AI do with that summary?
Well, that is where the decoder comes in. So you have this context vector, this concise package of information, and that gets handed off to the decoder. And then the decoder uses that to generate whatever the desired output is, whether that's a translation, maybe it's a response in a chatbot conversation.
Okay.
It could even be lines of code.
Wow. Okay.
It depends on, how it's trained and what the goal is.
Right.
But that's essentially the process.
So, okay, I'm gonna go back to like my chef analogy here.
Right.
So the encoder is like the input chef who's like chopping up all the meaning, prepping all the ingredients, making sure everything's like, ready to go. And then the decoder is the output chef.
Mm.
They're taking those ingredients and then they're creating, something delicious, or in this case, something that's relevant to like what you asked.
I love that. That is a great analogy. And I think what's so amazing about this whole system is that it's so versatile,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you can basically train the same like basic encoder decoder architecture on a bunch of different data sets
Okay.
to perform a huge range of language-based tasks. I mean, and that's why I think we're seeing such an explosion in AI capabilities these days.
Right. Well, and it makes me wonder, like, if this encoder-decoder model is the engine that's driving all these advancements,
Yeah.
what does that mean for the future?
Yeah.
Like, how are we going to be communicating in 10 years, 20 years?
Exactly. Will it change the way we create, the way we think?
Yeah, it's kind of a mind-blowing thing to think about.
Yeah.
So, as you go about your day and you see AI doing all this crazy stuff, just something to ponder.
Yeah. I mean, who knows what the future holds, but it's certainly going to be interesting to watch it all unfold.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is.